Can't use that.
What were you taught about marriage? Did it have you properly prepared for the journey or desperately frustrated looking for the nearest escape? I'm Shar, founder of Law for Love, the most special place in the legal system in Atlanta. And after navigating families through the court system for more than 13 years, we are now taking those lessons learned to serve and support families to build healthier, happier, more purposeful marriages. Join us live on YouTube at Law for Love ATL Monday nights for our family meetings. Yes, grown folk discussions.
The rise of Africa, the continent. The rise of Africa, the continent. The rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com. All right. Am I live? Sorry, doing a couple things at once. Shalom, family. Um let me there's some content here. We Sister Shar and I literally just um switched this around. We flipped this around because there are some things that's going on and happening real time as we are speaking. So I want to give some folks time to get in. I'm going to post this my um, on my community page. I would ask you all to like, share, and subscribe because this is going to be some really um, this is going to be some really deep and heavy a discussion here. It's going to be very deep. It's going to be very heavy. And there's a reason for it. I was bringing this up um, the other day. Yesterday, matter of fact. And let me kind of bring this on up because I have a couple of different articles that I'm bringing on up here. So I want to try to get more folks on in here. So yeah, shalom family, shalom. Let's get some folks up on in here. Let you know, because I don't want them to miss on out in a situation that's really ongoing. So this isn't going to be your typical Q2UA situation. We got to discuss some things that's actually occurring with our people right now. So yeah, I'll give it a few more minutes. Mr. Shar, how are you up there in Atlanta, the perimeter? How are you faring with the remnants, or actually, it's still Tropical Storm Helene?
Shalom and good morning, Brother Karis. Good morning, family in the chat. We have been receiving rain now. This is the second full day of rain. I
Hmm.
was awakened at midnight by a severe weather notification, and just blessed and encouraged that this we are in safety here at my house. And so it has been consistent downpour since, what's today? Friday, since
Hmm.
Wednesday
Wednesday. Yep.
afternoon.
Hmm.
Man, I grew up in hurricane land down in Miami and have mostly escaped the devastation that comes with hurricanes. Being here in Atlanta, and it's really interesting that this storm is of such a size that Atlanta is impacted in this way. This is my first time experiencing this in Atlanta after being here for more than 14 years, 15 years. I've never been impacted by a hurricane in Atlanta to this degree, but I'm very, very thankful. From my neck of the woods, no winds, because it's those winds. If you're not on the coast necessarily, it's the winds that really bite in a hurricane. I've been displaced by a hurricane before that
Hmm.
ripped off the roof of our home,
Mm.
and we were rapidly grabbing what we could before the ceiling caved in the middle of Hurricane Wilma. So I definitely have a respect for what hurricanes can do.
Hmm.
And this is a very intriguing storm, to say the least.
Hmm. Thank you, Sister Coco G, for the super sticker. If you have noticed, um, Q2A is now monetized, family. We are working on memberships. We will be getting that out to you all probably in the next week or two of how you can become a YouTube member of Quest Night Africa. So please be on the lookout for that. Thank you, family, again for your support.
Thank
I'll
you.
let some folks come on in because this storm is affecting the southeast, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, even Virginia, even parts of Tennessee and Kentucky. This is going on right now. This is happening right now. And I wanted to, we were going to talk about the art of relationships. We're going to get down to that because this is going to be tying in um, to that. Understand, family, we're all preparing for the big one, right? The big one. Why? Because we understand that when this goes sour, they have been saying they literally prepped for a mass casualty event. Congress was prepping for a mass casualty event this year. They are understanding what's getting ready to happen. Unfortunately, that will not be shown to us or said to us. And I was on the phone earlier with Brother Mike because here in Florida, here on the West Coast, I'm on the West Coast, I'm in Tampa. I am about, I would say, an hour from the beaches. I'm about from the water, maybe 30 minutes from the water here in the Tampa Bay area. Well, the Tampa Bay area had experienced some of the a very significant flooding, significant storm surge. And when I woke up this morning, as I was checking on things, they were doing water rescues in Pasco County. That's a county that's just north of me by about less than 3 or 4 miles. And to the west of me in Pasco County, that is where you have a lot of your beaches, and they're undergoing storm surge issues right now. And the reason that had an effect on me was because last year my son was playing his club soccer in Pasco County in those areas. And the areas are really Trinity, Tarpon Springs, and Newport Richey. And there's a sizable Greek population. It's one of the most sizable Greek populations in the United States, is actually located in Tarpon Springs. Matter of fact, Tarpon Springs, if you go there, they have a downtown Tarpon Springs, all that other good stuff. It was settled by Greek immigrants. That's what they pride themselves on. But I had to understand this. Um, you know, I I was bracing myself and preparing myself because I'm about to get those texts and those phone calls from my son of his former teammates that had been affected by the hurricane. And not just that, but also other friends, you know, and things of that nature, acquaintances, that there's going to be some bad news. And the reason I say that is, and you're not going to be hearing a lot about this until probably later on, because this story is developing. I mean, this is on like no the local news and everything else here in the Tampa Bay area. And when you're dealing with hurricanes, especially here in Florida, these are what we would say as major loss of life events or activities. And this is a major loss of life event. So, when you haven't had a hurricane necessarily hit in this intensity and in decades and decades, people become complacent. And when I woke up and I saw that folks were going through water rescues and people had reported that they had water up to their chest, understand these are the people that had survived to tell the tale.
Wow.
Understand that there are folks that did not survive. Understand that when people saw what was happening and they realized what was going on, understand that people will just do and engage in a act of God self-deletion. I'm not going to walk away. I'm just going to expire here in my home. And why is that? It's that because when you had Hurricane Ivan, or was it Ian, a couple of years ago, especially on the southwest coast of Florida, Fort Myers, and things of that nature, when you had Hurricane Michael that hit up in Mexico Beach, right out a couple hours from Pensacola, that happened in like 2021, and there are still people recovering. There are still claims being dismissed. You want to know why? Because they couldn't pay them. And this was something that people can see bearing down. These are things that's known all throughout Florida, and there was, and we're gonna show you this. This is gonna be an article here. This is from the Tampa Bay Times. Let me present this. Give me a second. Family, please like, share, and subscribe because we're going to go in here pretty deep. Even my internet has been messing up because of the storms. I mean, I could tell we were clocking 60, 70 mile an hour wind gusts. I haven't heard from Brother Red this morning. I'm praying that all is well with him. You know, that I'm expecting a lot of, trees in the streets and things of that nature. So I'm going to put this in the chat. Control C. Here's the article. I put that in the chat. And I'm going to go back in the history a little bit. I have to go back in the history because you have to understand when you are a Florida homeowner. I owned a home in Florida for over 12 years. I owned a home. And when I owned that home, my home insurance was through USAA since I was on active duty at that time. And I would always see folks when they would buy a home, there weren't major insurance companies writing policies. Your state farms, your American Life, or I think there's State Farm. I'm not gonna say Mutual of Omaha. Oh, it's on my tongue because I used to have that insurance company. Farmers and other insurance bureaus, your major insurance bureaus, were not writing policies. And matter of fact, they were shedding policies. And part of those policies, that when you shed those policies, especially to the state, it goes to the citizens property insurance. And so, just to give you the background, the Citizens Property Insurance is actually a state owned, a state of Florida owned insurance property. So, if you cannot be underwritten by any insurance agency, then you will be underwritten by Citizens Property. It's a guarantor. However, because of all of these events that have been happening in Florida with home insurance. What happened? What has happened was that there were construction loopholes that were going on when people were rebuilding Fort Myers. And the roofing contractors were saying, "Oh, this is all family." Keep in mind, this was about, oh my goodness, 8 months ago. They were talking about this. Because I'm telling you, roofers were getting paid down in Fort Myers area when you had, I think, Ian rolled through back in late 2022. General contractors, and what they were doing, they were taking advantage of the way that insurance was structured. Come on now, Sister Shaw, you know what I'm talking about. When they're taking advantage of loopholes.
Well, yeah, there was a lot of scammy stuff going on where they would have homeowners sign assignments. their
Yes.
insurance benefits and then lock people in, and then people didn't know what were going on what was going on. They were basically writing blank checks to
Mm.
contractors who were just milking the system.
They were milking the system and they couldn't do anything about it. And what ended up happening is that you started to get these articles here. This is from the Tampa Bay Times earlier this year. Let's read this article. DeSantis said Citizens Property Insurance is not solvent. Fact check. This is PolitiFact. Insolvency means a company cannot pay its bills today. That's not so with Citizens. So here we go. Citizens Property. That's just a little caption, but here's the article. All right, by Louis Jacobson and Samantha Putterman. As Floridians continue to grapple with state property insurance crisis, Republican Ron DeSantis has warned that the state-backed insurer of last resort for disaster damage is insolvent. Over the past year, several major insurance carriers have left the state. I just told you that, citing that Florida's high risk of a costly weather calamity, loose regulations, and repeated hurricane damage have left residents paying the highest average property insurance premiums in the country, about $6,000 a year, or more than triple the national average. This squeeze has pushed more homeowners to explore insuring with Citizens Property Insurance Corporation. That's the state of Florida's insurance corporation, which holds about 1.2 million policy. The company is considered the insurer of last resort because it offers policies to customers who are seen as high risk because their properties are particularly vulnerable to damage, making them unattractive to conventional insurers. What does that mean? All of those homes that are located on the water. I'm telling you, family, we're getting ready, at least I am here in Florida. I'm getting ready to see and witness firsthand a catastrophic insurance event. Insurers of last resort do not have to agree to cover properties they consider too risky. They require potential policyholders to adhere to certain conditions for protecting the property before offering a policy. During the legislative session, DeSantis touted efforts to improve the Florida's insurance market, saying the new companies have entered the states. Not really, but that's what he's saying. And it said it is not insolvent, and we can't have millions of people on that because it's if a storm hits, it's going to cause problems for the states, which it has. DeSantis has repeatedly the claims over and over again. Now it says, however, the company's financial data that undermines DeSantis' use of not solvent financial experts. So understand, everybody's juicing on up because they don't want to have people panic. The company expects 6.3 billion surplus by the end of 2024. Remember, that was 2023, 5 billion surplus. That's not happening because here's a lot of what's going on. When people sell their homes, guess what they're not doing? They're not paying. They're not paying. They're not paying their mortgages, and they're certainly not paying their insurance. You have thousands of homes that have been owned by these Wall Street investment firms. Shout out to Reventure Consulting. He's down here in St. Pete. And he shows the data. So all of these are going on right now. Here's what you have. Excuse me, in terms of folks being insured. And I'm going to tell you that more than likely, this is 20 at the end of February 2024. We definitely understand this financial crisis. It has hit Florida. It has hit people with rising insurance costs. You want to know why? I'm going to show you this. Let me go ahead. I'm going to share this tab. So you're starting to understand why this was and why they'll start to say, a recipe for disaster. Told you this show, look, nobody's going to say this first. Let me go ahead here. And I'm putting this in the chat too. Thousands of South Florida condo owners forced to sell due to rising costs. What are those rising costs? South Florida faces a condo crisis as thousands of units flood the market, leading condos to sell due to rising costs. Now, let me go into the crux of the issue. Sister Shar, I'm gonna read this here so you can see how I'm building my fire rat case. I'm giving you the facts.
Hilarious.
So let me, before I make that quote, let me um go here. I would get calls from some unit owners who were just in tears, shared Association President Laura Galliano. So we understand Laura Galliano, and she is the association president at Mariners Bay Condos somewhere in North Miami. And they were having to pay $100,000 in dues and assessments to stay. Why did they need to pay $100,000? Well, here it is. Insurance went up 800%, and that is insurmountable, explained Galliano,
That's crazy.
with other expenses. Wait a second. Wait a second. But the state is fine. It's not insolvent. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I'm going to submit that I believe these homeowners stayed because honestly, they knew that with their homes being gone, they were just going to go with it. This is why you have water rescues occurring right now as I speak down the street from me. And I'm going to tell you, they're going to probably find thousands of bodies all up and down the west coast of Florida.
That many bodies, Brother Karras?
That many bodies. Nobody really left. Nobody really evacuated on the roads. People stayed. They have an evacuation order, and guess what? You know what people do? They just shut her down. An evacuation order doesn't mean you have to physically up and move and evacuate. It just means that by the time that order goes through, you are no longer able to receive any type of first response or first responder services. So basically, you stay, you're on your own. We, I wish we could get Red on here, because Red will tell you. Red has lived here in the Tampa Bay area for actually most of his life, if not all of his life. And hurricanes over here on the west coast of Florida, they're not really respected. They're not. They're not respected. It's not really going to hit anything. It's not going to do anything. It's just going to, pass on by. It's just going to go into the Big Bend where nobody's at. And, we'll have a little bit of flooding. And that's what's going to happen. And There's a difference in this. I'm telling you, I'm trying to explain it to you. There's a difference in this because now there's a difference of hopelessness. See, folks that are hopeful, they're going to leave, they're going to evacuate.
Well, that's funny that you said that because Red has been saying all week something's different about this storm. This storm is
Yep.
strange. He been saying that all
You
week.
said it all week. This storm doesn't just form in the Gulf. We've been saying this. This form doesn't just form in the Gulf. It was literally a tropical storm as soon as it hit out of the Bay of Campeche, the Yucatan Peninsula, Cancun. As soon as it hit off of the west coast of Cuba, and then it came into the Gulf of Mexico. That storm went from a category 1 to almost a category 5. It was a strong category 4 hurricane. Strong. And the eye was literally less than 50 miles away from the coast of St. Pete and Clearwater. They were getting ravaged. And you weren't going to see any of it. Yeah, it was a 35-mile wide eye. I still got to call my mom this morning because the eye literally went about 45 miles north of her. And now keep in mind, yes, Peekaboo, keep in mind, if you are like Blackstone, yeah, keep in mind with Blackstone, hey, I'm selling all these properties, and guess what? I'm not paying for it. I'm the bank. I own the bank. I'm not going to pay for what? I'm not paying for any of the insurance premiums. You're not going to pay for your insurance premiums on investment properties that you're trying to get rid of, especially if you are a bank. These insurance premiums probably have not been paid in more than likely a year.
I wouldn't doubt it when there was already public notice of insolvency concerns. I wouldn't doubt it. That's crazy.
And now you have people in a struggling economy, people that probably had been laid off, people that are probably have been talking to their insurance companies. I ain't got the money to pay. Can we make out arrangements? Can we do this? Can we do that? You can still live in your house, but your house just won't be insured. All that, and they'll say this. They'll say, well, that's the risk that I'm going to take. And then when they try to re-up, they say, no, you got to wait at least 30 days into your policy because if there is a catastrophic event, this is a literal financial crisis in the making. I wouldn't be surprised when they say that October event. You know, that one black swan event that does what? That crashes the economy, that tips the economy over the edge. That's just my opinion. And you can't say Ron DeSantis that was truthful because let me tell you, I don't care what politicians say. I don't. If a politician is talking, he's lying. Especially when it has to deal with the financials and the balance sheets. They are lying. because I always say, look at what the markets say, look at what is happening in the economy. You have to. Insurance went up 800%, and that's insurmountable. Explained Galliano. And understanding this article by CBS News and along with other expenses. Problem is, when you see that along with other expenses, that's what they did. That's what they said. Because they don't want to just say, oh, it was the insurance. The insurance literally knocked out these condo owners. And that's the first step in this disaster. The next step in this disaster is to get a category 4 hurricane that wipes out a large population of homes on the west coast of Florida. And yep. That's cataclysmic. That's when you fall over the edge. Yep. And in this economy, many did not have the money. And they do not have the money. They don't. You're going to see a couple of things happening. Folks are going to walk away from their homes, and their homes are going to be condemned because when they walk away, that mold is going to get up in there, and they're just going to be like, forget it. The bank, it's your problem. They're going to sign their homes over to the bank, and it's going to be the bank's problem. And now the bank has homes that are going to have to be destroyed. Do you see the financial imperilment of what's going on, Brother Car? Brother, uh, is Brother Karras wrong, Sister Shar?
Now, this is very plausible what you're saying because the insolvency piece alone and of the insurance company, we know that
Mm-hmm.
from the so when there was the 2008 crash and all of these bankruptcies filed, and you were talking about that earlier this week, Brother Karras, about the 2024 quarter two bankruptcy filings.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when this happened back in 2008, 2009, where foreclosure filings were just on the increase, what we realized was that the banks weren't in a hurry. They don't want the house. they
No.
they want the money, right? So with this kind of mess, we've seen it recently. We saw it in 2008, 2009, 2010 as a direct result of the bubble issue. And this looks like the same exact thing. It's following the same pattern. It's just the difference then. It's kind of like another aspect of the Ponzi scheme. The insurance company is not in the business of paying claims. The
No.
insurance company is in the business of collecting premiums and
Yep.
denying claims or
Yeah.
limiting its responsibility for claims.
Mm-hmm.
So for an insurance company or any type of insurance company, historically insurance has been the symbol of wealth and power in the United States.
Yes.
The tallest buildings in any downtown are the insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have the housing insurance saying insolvent, and you're right when you talk about homeowners just throwing their hands up and saying, forget it, you can have the house. The bank doesn't want the house.
Mm.
It reminds me of that mass homeless scenario that they painted in Ready Player One.
Mm-hmm.
The type of circumstances that create displacement.
What were they trying to say? Climate change refugees.
Yes, climate refugees.
Come on now.
Because they'll never admit this is the hand of the Most High. The Most High, hey, his dominion is in the look, the seas, the winds, the storms. They're not going to admit that the Most High is tearing this place up or any other nation that's under judgment. That's what we've been calling it.
Let me tell you this, family. Because see, people don't take storms seriously, and shout out to Mr. Weatherman. He's on YouTube, and he was saying, "No, folks, this is real. This is something that you definitely need to take a look at and understand." And um, for a lot of Floridians want to have that. Well, I'm not going to really worry about it being a hurricane until I see the hurricane form in what? The Atlantic, the Caribbean. Also, not going to take it seriously. This was the biggest cognitive dissonance complacency tragedy that you and I will ever witness in our lifetimes. We'll see more, but up until now,
So there wasn't the scrambling for gas and groceries with this
not at
storm?
all. No, it wasn't.
What?
Not at all. Not at all.
Wow.
I went to Publix on like Wednesday, and it was like it was just regular.
Another
It
day
was
in the
regular.
neighborhood. Dang.
I said, "Oh, these folks are gonna get messed up."
Oh, wow.
And we could see. Red and I were talking about this. We were seeing the disaster unfold.
Red wasn't playing. Look, Red, Red would have got his sandbags. Red was looking at this storm with the
Red
side eye
had his
all week.
sandbags.
He was
Yes.
not playing. Red wasn't playing with this storm. Wow.
And folks are like, well, it's not a hurricane just yet, so I'll worry about it tomorrow when it actually becomes a hurricane. They were actually telling people, you can't wait till tomorrow because tomorrow's going to be too late. And it was still a tropical storm. It went from a tropical storm to the category 4 in less than 24 hours. Folks are so caught off guard with complacency. I'm telling you. I woke up this morning. I said, "Man, a lot of folks died. A lot of folks aren't waking up this morning. A lot of folks didn't make it through the night last night." And you're not going to see it here in the hours to come. You're not going to see it in the days to come. It's going to be noticeable in in the weeks to come when families are trying to find loved ones, when families are trying to communicate with loved ones and they don't know where they're at, when these little barrier islands and things of that nature they're not able to access because quite frankly the whole town may be wiped, the whole island may be wiped, so they're going to try and downplay it and downplay it and downplay it for months on end. But here's the problem: they won't be able to do that because the problem is the banks won't be able to do that because the banks run on money. They don't run on politics. And when people aren't paying, guess what? Folks are going to be scrambling. Early indications warn that the storm in Florida may have been worse than what initially believed. That's what they'll be saying. They're going to give you a nice victory speech. We made it. We made it. We made it, and they'll say nothing has really been reported so far, all that other blah, blah, blah. Can't really report things when folks have expired. This is, yeah, this is a sad day. Mark this day. This is a sad day. How come I can't get to my property? Where do you live at? Oh, yeah, it's gonna be a few days. That's what happened in Fort Myers. That's what happened in those Sanibel Captiva Islands, Fort Myers Beach. Folks couldn't get on that island for about 2 weeks because the hurricane had literally blown away parts of the bridge. And I don't think you're going to have bodies floating in the streets. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think you're going to have folks that have succumbed to their that have expired in their homes, because there's a couple things that actually happen in your home when you are dealing with a hurricane. Number one, it's usually not. Here's the crazy thing about this. It's usually not the water that gets you, although, folks have quote unquote drowned because quote unquote their lungs may have, seawater in them. But that's actually not the case. What ends up happening is that folks will get electrocuted as the water comes through. It hits a live current, and folks are in vicinity of that current, of the power, the main, so they get electrified. And yes, Tamara, yes, the gases build up. This is why they were having explosions. They're still dealing with explosions right now, left and right. That's happening literally all throughout the state of Florida, on the coast. Folks' homes are going kaboom. Because you have a lot of methane gas buildup. You have carbon monoxide buildup. Because ventilation spaces have now been closed off. No, this won't be shown on the TV. They're only reporting it. It's not going to be shown, and it's actually shown on the local station that I have. They're reporting it, but it's not going to be shown. You already know we're in the fifth estate, man. They're not going to show any of this. You're in the fifth column now. Fire departments are dealing with home explosions and this and that. Yes, of course they are. They're dealing with water rescues. Yeah, of course they are. They're not going to tell you about um, cadaver recoveries. Because I'm telling you, the places that this affected the most, the demographics of who this impacted the most, are not, as they would say, people of color. The demographics of who this affected the most, especially in those areas, are not, as they would say, people of color. And it's going to be far more than 600 rescues, Sean, because you want to know why? Because I believe, my personal opinion, just like what Red had thought, we believe nobody evacuated. Hey, it's just a tropical storm there in the Caribbean. Whatever. It's not going to get that strong in the Gulf. Meh. And Red and I are like, yo, this thing is going to strengthen in the Gulf. It's going to catch them unawares, man. They got caught right in the snare. They got caught right in the snare, and guess what? And their pride deceived them.
Yeah, y'all had the side eye on this storm the entire week. Like it was so strange.
We didn't have the side on the storm. We had the side on the storm since what? Thursday of last week. Since we were in Atlanta.
Red said it didn't even rain that much.
It didn't. It didn't. I was surprised. It didn't. It was just, oh my goodness.
Wow. Yeah,
Glad
because
to hear
Atlanta
Red is
got all
doing
the
okay.
rain. And look,
Hallelujah.
that storm dumped all the rain in Atlanta.
Yeah, y'all got all the rain. We just got a ton of wind. And yeah, and the coast just got flooded. They're not even going to tell you what the storm surge was, probably for a couple days. The National Weather Service has determined. Understand, they're not trying to tell you how bad this storm was. They're not going to try to tell you that. Man, I'm telling you, Pharaoh doesn't want to tell you how bad they're getting hit. Pharaoh does not want to tell you how bad they are getting hit. I had another article. Let me present this. This is another article. This is from Politico. One pistol clip can change the balance of power. Congress is wholly unprepared for a mass casualty event. I wonder why. Why are they bringing this up right now? Why are they bringing this out right now? Because do you think that they're scared that people are going to start losing their minds? Let's look at this. This is from September 23rd. This is this week. 2024. This is this week. Why are they talking about this right now? Over the past 15 years, members of Congress have survived nearly two near deadly shootings, a train crash with dozens of them on board, and a Capitol riot that had hundreds of lawmakers fearing for their lives. Despite those incidents, the institution is wholly unprepared for a catastrophic event that kills or incapacitates multiple members, even if that hypothetical tragedy results in a major power shift, changing which party holds the majority in the White House's Senate. Members of Congress themselves have proposed a host of solutions to the havoc a mass casualty could wreak. I put that article on out there. They got the pictures and all that other stuff. They're getting ready. The reason I have that, these are all the softball stories of them getting ready. for something devastating to come. And as I had stated all along here, I'm not really afraid of all the existential threats. The main threat, in my opinion, comes from them because number one, they're going to feel betrayed, they're going to feel lied to, they're going to feel all these sorts of things. What relief money? Kathy Jones, Sister Kathy, what relief money? The government is paying over $1 trillion a year just to pay its debts. They are racking up over $1 trillion every 3 months. Sometimes it's not a war that puts the death knell into things. Sometimes it literally really is sarcasm. That's why they're getting prepared. Yeah, for real. Oh, these folks are gonna try and come up here and ask for some money, and they're gonna try to ask for some money with their pew pews and pow pals and Stickers bars and Skittles. Pray for Brother Rojo. We haven't seen Brother Rojo. Pray for him. This is what's happening. That's what they are preparing for. Oh, what if? Oh, we know it's no what if. They coming. They coming like that, like the Dr. Martin Luther King speech. We're coming here for our insurance. That is a debt owed to us after this hurricane. We're going to the state capitol for our check. And when them folks go to get their money, they're not going to do it in a peaceful and non-violent way. I'm just saying. Are we beginning to put the two and two together? What say you, Sister Shaw?
I was listening to the One Piece analysis Minister Yakoba did the other day, and that connection between the celestial serpent and chaos, it it's connecting a lot of dots for me. I imagine there will be some ignorance pop off when the government is not coming to the rescue. How long now has the government become the centerpiece of hope?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever there's a disaster, whenever there's an emergency, there's a demand on the government, the government, the government. And when in reality you're dealing with a failed state that, that's continuing to prop up the appearance of governance.
Mm-hmm.
Some folk gonna act real ignorant because there are some folk that deeply believe in the Constitution and the strength of this country, which is why they wear red caps to memorialize this faith and belief in a great and strong union. So the scenario is plausible, and when your state is failed and the corporate structure is insolvent, which is why it continues to print money and continue to drive the nation into deeper hyperinflation,
Yep.
then a lot of people are going to wake up to the American nightmare that was sold to them as a dream.
You know, when you read Second Esdras and it says, about the star and their star that is falling, right? Well, understand, it's said in really a different context than what we think. See, any the way that any type of government or governmental body works is it's empowered because people believe that it has the power that they think it has. And in all reality, it may not be empowered at all. And folks understand the fissures of how the lack of power and control there is. And once that fissure is exposed, then that's how governments collapse. I don't know about you. Mike had a dream the other day, and if Mike comes on in here, he had a dream the other day, and in that dream, that thing was so prophetic,
Extremely.
and it was it was telling because as this was all taking place, like I don't like to share things because I'm like, I don't like to share timelines. I don't like to share this. I don't like to share. There's some things it's like, I don't really know. But he had shared that with us last week, right before the Art of Diplomacy event last Friday. And we don't like to share these things because a lot of things, we the things still have to work out.
We know in part and we prophesy in part. Like
Bingo.
we're not in a position to call dates at all.
No, no, no,
Not our
no.
position, and it's not what we're supposed to do. But we understand and we respect that as a children of the prophets, there is nothing that the Most High does without first revealing it to us.
Hmm.
And so he has his communication system with us to prepare us,
Yeah.
to signal to us what the times and the seasons are. We understand that the luminaries were given to us for seasons, for us to know the timing from the standpoint of the season that we're in. And so Brother Michael's dream was really interesting because it did signal a season that we're entering into a season of economic disruption. And one of the things about Brother Michael's dream is the symbology of one of the Hebrew letters. And that letter is called Chet. You would see it spelled Chet. Now, was really, really interesting as the the storm was upon Atlanta last night, there was an emergency alert that went off minutes before midnight. And the symbology in Brother Michael's dream points to Psalms 119 and the different letters there and the different, all of these different Psalms under each letter. Well, when I woke up, right before midnight, one of the lines in that psalm says, "Night give thanks." And het, it's a picture of separation, it's a picture of protection, it's a picture of a gateway. If you do a search on this letter, and I'm no expert in Hebrew studies at all, so I'm not even going to pretend like I have the final authority on any of this. But I was looking at it, and I'm giving thanks and praise about the covering or the protection or the mercy that was being illustrated by this particular letter. And his dream was signaling that this season is going to include two catastrophic events. we're speaking seasonally, and we don't know exactly how to interpret it in detail,
Mm-mm.
but we all had a witness as to the certainty of the thing. Like, we're in a season where we're expecting economic calamity. This hurricane is just one of those small manifestations of like something that happens and all the rest of the dominoes fall.
Mm. Mm. Sean in the chat was saying officials are advising for people to write IDs on their legs. I don't doubt it. And what makes this even more catastrophic is that it's going to be heading over the Carolina mountains, the Georgia and Carolina mountains, is as we speak. And the reason that they're saying that, people are asking why are they saying that, is because um, they're probably finding their neighbors. They're probably trying to check up on folks, and people have probably passed away. It is that event. To me, this is that event.
It you bringing up Brother Michael's dream, the other thing that was chilling, number one, the dream was chilling.
Hmm.
But number two, the timing of then that NASA, shout out to Sister Anissa who posted the article on Question Night Africa's Facebook page about that asteroid, air quotes, that's
Hmm.
coming into the Earth's
Wormwood.
atmosphere. We're looking at it as a wormwood alert, especially in light of the timing on that article that they said this thing would appear and when it's supposed to and how long it's supposed to stay. It aligns with imagery from Brother Michael's dream. It just does. And we have a side eye on that asteroid with the big question mark. Is that wormwood? Not to alert, not to alarm, but just to remain watchful. Yahusha told us, watch and pray. He gave us prophecy so that we would know the timing and the season, we would know the seasons. He gave us Matthew 24 to understand how things would be unfolding in geopolitical war.
Mm.
He let us know about our persecution that would also coincide with the wars and the rumors of wars. And then when you overlay Matthew 24 with the events of Revelation and with Daniel, then you also see this wormwood piece that's super intriguing. And NASA is telling us that there's an asteroid that's going to look like a second moon. Oh, don't worry about it. It's just it's just an asteroid. And then this really bizarre hurricane after the asteroid cover story. We're just saying we don't know all the answers, but there's no coincidence. And we have the comfort of the scriptures to guide us in our understanding. And then we have one another to share with one another and to witness among ourselves what it is that we're seeing and we're hearing from the Ruach.
Mm. Yeah, this is quite interesting, family. It's quite interesting, and it's again, this isn't to, it's not to have you fearful, because I'm going to tell you this. Listen, as Red and I were looking at a lot of these things, we're not going to be getting hit. Actually, to be perfectly honest, these are population areas that it's not us, if not hardly any of us. I'm going to tell you this right now. Over Newport Richey, Tarpon Springs, Trinity, in those areas that got hit from right down the street from me, guess what? Not many of our people live there. I would say maybe less than like 5 or 6%, maybe. And on the coast, oh, how many folks know? How many folks know a person that owns a beach house, especially on West Florida, on the west coast of Florida? I still want to know an actual beach house because I'm gonna tell you, I don't know anybody, not ones that are melanated like me. So all that to say, yeah, that wasn't us that got messed up. And I'm pretty confident because I would go there a lot to take my kids either fishing over or just hanging out at the little sandbars.
Well, even with that, so the first Exodus, we were in a separate land mass. We were separated geographically,
Yeah.
where it was clear and distinct that our people were in Goshen, right? And now we're living amongst those who are being judged. And so this is why for me, looking at the het and reading those passages in Psalm 119 about crying out for mercy and giving thanks for his mercy, because he will save us even amongst the destruction. The best picture of it that I think of when I think about judgment is set for the proud and the humble will be saved. This is
Mhm.
my understanding of how the wrath of the Most High works. I think about it like those tornado events where
Mm,
this crazy tornado comes through and flattens everybody's house and skips over two.
yep.
That we are covered, the het representing that we're separated from the judgment, even though we abide next door, because we're no longer separated by Goshen. But the scripture also says that the second Exodus would be greater than the first, because now, how can you deny the protective hand of Yah on his people when we come out unscathed, but everybody else got tore up?
Yeah. Yeah. This is certainly the truth. And this is certainly what's happening. You know, as we had been, um, sorry about that. As we had been talking about this, Red and I had been talking about this for a while. And, we were saying, like, yeah, the folks, especially within Tampa Bay, on the Bay, let me tell you this. There's like on Davis Island, particularly, they got messed up. And I don't know any black person that lives on Davis Island. I don't. I don't even know if any black people do actually, in fact, live on a lot of these like islands. And I can probably confidently say that the islands are 95% them. And these folks were in trouble. On the coastlines, it's 95% them. So you're not going to be hearing these stories. What you're going to be hearing is folks trying to find their loved ones. That's what you're going to be hearing. That's what you're going to be seeing. It's a cover up. the state's not letting us know anything. Why?
The same way they didn't let that young man's mother come and see his body after he was found hanging in South Carolina. That's why.
Yep.
Because the same government that has disenfranchised us, that has denied us justice, that has covered up our shed blood, they gonna do the same thing to you.
To them. Yep. Yep.
You were complicit in this government doing nothing to cure injustice.
And now they're going to be victims of it.
Yes. You
Now they're going to be
allowed,
victims. Yep.
yes. You allowed it. You fed it blood. It's like Little Shop of Horrors. You kept feeding blood, our blood, to
you
this
fed the blood to
system.
that plant. Yep. And now the
Turning a
plant's
side
eating you.
eye as it was eating us.
Yep. Now that plant is eating them. Come on now.
It's not going to give you answers. It's not going to serve you justice. You think you're going to get justice from a lawless system that you have been complicit with the whole time while it was eating our blood? Sweeping our misery under the rug? Closing its ears to our cries? Like everybody just takes Black pain in stride. Like, oh, it's just Black people. They're so strong. What the heck? We're demanding justice. You think this system's going to work for you?
You know, someone has said this, and here's the thing. It's going to the Little Egypt part of the country. It's going to the Little Egypt part of the country. I don't know if anybody like literally saw that on the Weather Channel. It's like it's hitting all the strongholds of Pharaoh in this system. It's going to the Little Egypt part of the country. It is literally hitting like Cairo. It is hitting St. Louis. It is hitting Memphis, parts of Arkansas, parts of Kentucky, Paducah. It's going to get bad. In one system. This thing is going to be terrible. Right there in the heart of Egypt. They call it Little Egypt. Babylon's getting judged. And that's what we did. We told you all. We told you all. We showed you. If you weren't here earlier, we showed you those news articles that Babylon couldn't pay its bills. Do you think it's going to be able to pay its bills even now with all the economic issues that have happened since February of this year? Nah. No, it's not. Do you think that things are getting better as Blackstone is literally liquidating its markets? Ain't no insurance being paid. And these folks have not been getting the paychecks that they once had. I literally had a discussion with Brother Walt about this. Shout out to Brother Walt. I know he's there listening. Karis, what I said is people still have money, brother. Yeah, Brother Walt, they have money. But some of that money that they have aren't paying their insurance bills.
Well, because that inflation
Especially
is
here in
killing us.
Florida.
That inflation is tearing up your purchasing power. You know, that was a great conversation, though, Brother Karras. Even though, hey, shout out to Brother Walt. But look, Brother Walt say, listen, you're not fit for the kingdom if you scared.
Mm,
Brother Walt say he walking on water unafraid, and it's a battle cry to all of us. Like as these weather events are taking place, as the economy is literally shaking, as the earth is shaking.
hmm
Wormwood looking at this place. I
Wait, wait, wait,
that,
wait, 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 wait. Sister Shaw, do you know that wormwood will be visible in less than 48 hours come this Shabbat?
mm,
After this Shabbat on the 29th. Come on now.
well, this whole month, right? So at Question Night Africa, for those of you who haven't already heard, we had a family gathering just this past weekend.
hmm
And we are in a high holy month of atonement, trumpets, and Sukkot. And that's the other interesting thing I learned while I was up at midnight looking at the Chet. It's representative of the number eight. And Sukkot is one of those eight, the feasts that's represented by eight as well. Well, the picture of the three feasts together is actually a wedding ceremony. It is a wedding rehearsal. So we gathered, well, first of all, we picked the date, not realizing that we were in a feast season.
hmm
We gathered together, which is representative of the fulfillment of the feast. As we know, the Bible is painting pictures of prophetic fulfillment. So the return of our King, as we see in Matthew 25, he's coming back at midnight for his bride. And while we were gathered together on during this season, we don't know the exact days. We were removed from our homeland, and so the best we can do is guess at most, right? But it just so happens while we are gathered for dinner, right across the hall from our gathering was a wedding.
Mm,
There's a wedding, right? Then we get the news about the wormwood,
mm,
and the article, it overlaps with the season that Brother Michael saw in his
mm,
dream. So we're already been gathering in these virtual spaces. We've already been getting to know one another. We've already been coming together in a shared identity as Yah's people. And we're not taking any of this for granted. We're not taking any of this as coincidence. We're not afraid because all of this is really a part of a love story. The ones who should be terrified are the ones who have been ignoring Yah, the ones who have been lawless, the ones who have been refusing to repent, even among our own people.
hmm
That's who should be scared. And so when we read the scriptures for what they are and we understand that these events are about justice, then we have nothing to fear, not even death itself. We know that that's a part of the story, but at the end we win. And so when y'all were having y'all little back and forth, Brother Karras, it was so delightful. Brother Watt was like, either way I win. I'm not afraid to die because either way I win. And that's the
mm,
attitude we need to have. Even as we're watching the news, we're watching the markets, we're watching the weather, we're hearing these stories. We have comfort in knowing that we're aliens to this place anyway.
hmm
And so There is no losing for us. Not when Hamashiach has already overcome death itself. Like
Hmm.
he's already defeated death. He's looking to see who's going to believe that he did it.
Mm, mm. Yeah, it's that part right there. We have a lot of things that's going on right now in this time. And family, when we say your support is needed more than ever, it really is. I don't like to give dates. I don't like to give times. Oh, we're gonna hit the finish line at this date at this time. No, no, we're not. Because I'm not gonna speak for the Most High. I can't, and I won't, because that's His glory. But what I can say is, we can all see that this thing is close.
Yes.
And what we need to be doing right now is, look, there was an opportunity that things had happened over the last close course of a couple of weeks, family. There are a lot of things that happen in the background, and we don't really like to share a lot of the difficulties that's going on, because we know that the Most High puts that in our way, so then He can get the glory. But we had encountered some gatekeeping. I'm just going to say that there, and I'm not going to say anything else. We had encountered some gatekeeping, but we didn't. Instead of letting that discourage us, instead of letting that get us down, we gave the Most High praise and we kept it moving. We were talking about this thing and that thing. We were doing this and that. We were discussing the school that Brother Mike had discussed, and we were developing that over the course of these last couple of weeks. I'm not gonna lie, I was a bit sad because I had some presentations going. I had discussed some things with people. I mean, we were on out there. We coordinate things in the background. That's what we do. And the last final pieces that we're putting together, we submitted it. We prayed about it, and we said, "Hallelujah, thank you, Father." And immediately there was the troll at the bridge. You cannot pass. Rah! It felt like some sort of J.R.
It
Tolkien,
was.
Lord
It
of the
was.
Rings
It
type
was Lord of
thing.
the Rings. It was a Lord of the Rings moment. You shall not pass.
The, the,
Oh,
the, the troll was in the middle of the bridge.
it
And you
was.
know what? That had brought us down. That discouraged us for about 5 minutes. And then we're like, you know what? Hallelujah. Thank you, Father. That means we need to do this, and this. See, don't think that this art of diplomacy and the art of relationships is something that we just think of out the blue. No. This was literally 18 months of us coming together as a people, as a group. And there was a lot of loss before we gained. See, a lot of times, and I'm going to tell you this. This is what happens, and this has happened with these organizations. that are quote unquote for us, and quote unquote whatever. They come through, say, yeah, we're going to join, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and then guess what? Then they have their own agendas, and it literally just falls apart at the seam. But we had said, no, this is different. We're going to do things that the Most High has placed for us to do.
How many decades now has it been, the kingdom movement within Christianity? How many of us were being raised or taught or fellowship in assemblies that talked about the kingdom, the kingdom, the kingdom? And we're talking kingdom all this time, not realizing, number one, that we're the king's children, and number
Mhm.
two, our authority to speak on the king's behalf in global affairs.
Yes.
It's like the spookification of our book remove the practicality of our role to speak as our Father speaks, to do what our Father says to do, to walk in the obedience of a servant and child of the King.
Mm.
That when we speak, we are releasing the same power and authority in our declarations in the affairs of this world. It's not a small matter.
Mm-mm.
The earth has been moaning and groaning for us to take our rightful place. And diplomacy is simply representing the king's authority in this earth, representing the king's nature in our relationships. Looking like our daddy, walking like our daddy, talking like our daddy.
Mm-hmm.
That's all diplomacy is. See, a lot of times we end up having to come behind a mess that was made by someone else not understanding our authority,
And we had to clean it up.
and we have to clean it up.
We had to clean it up. That was literally my whole career in the military. Oh well, Lieutenant Copeland, Captain Copeland, can you handle it? I always thought, I always, I remember that movie, The Cleaner or whatever. I said, man, that's me. I said, I got to get up on in here. I got to clean up these dead bodies that they don't riddled on the floor and try to, put these relationships back together.
But look at what we have to clean up now, though. We have to clean up the mess that's been made by Pro people calling themselves Hebrew Israelites, painting our culture as a hate organization before we ever formed. We got to fight that mess. We have to clean up the mess of the reputation that has done a smear campaign on our community and our king. We are not a hate group. And the only way that we communicate that to the world is through diplomacy, through sitting down and having conversations with people of other nations and stand in the authority that we have in God. When you think about the ones who hated Yahusha, they were the ones who were the political and religious leaders that we were taught were called Pharisees.
Mm.
Whenever you saw them show up and began questioning Yahusha, the main question they asked was, by whose authority does this man do these things?
Mm-hmm.
By whose authority does he speak? He didn't go to our schools. We didn't train him at our synagogue. Who is this man who speaks with such authority?
Mm.
Who is this man who operates in power? We got to go clean up a mess, family, left by agents of darkness who knew that we were awakening and had to trip us up before we even showed up.
Listen. When I was talking about, gatekeeping and stuff like that, man, y'all don't even know. There was a situation to where they were trying their best to have me open up my mouth and use my voice and use the authority that the Most High has given me to try to clean up and support an issue of pure, unadulterated ignorance. I was on the phone, I was on the call with the board in the background, and we were just laughing because we said they done stepped in it. They tried to slow our progress, and look how the Most High is smacking them down.
Mm-hmm.
And family, I said it's sad. We were laughing. I said, but this isn't funny. It was comical. I said, but this is abhorrent. And what we did, we said, all right, they shot themselves in the foot, you know. And you know what? You know what ended up happening? Sister Shar was like, Brother Karras, we got to do this Art of Diplomacy event. We got to get this taken care of, and watch and see that as soon as we get this event thing taken care of, watch and see how the Most High will open this door back up for us. I'm telling you, this is our testimony. We were going to do a recap, but I'm going to tell you, it's actually a testimony. Because here's the thing, the Most High will allow us, but we have to build. We have to build. We have to build. We're building the wall, and when we're building the wall, we're coming up and we're having other builders. First level, second level, third level. This is a skyscraper, and we have to build, but we're bringing in more people to help us build because it has to be more intricate.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, as soon as we finished up the event, we were actually just working and, doing some other things because there are some other administrative tasks and things of that nature. So we knew that we were going to be engaged. Honestly, we knew we were going to be engaged, but to be quite honest, I thought we were going to be engaged probably in next week or the week after that. That was my thought. Wasn't that your thought, Sister Shar?
I felt strongly that we had to get through the event and then the door would be open. I felt like,
but the
we
timing
going to
of
get
a re-engagement, Sister Shar.
That's what I'm
I thought it
saying.
was going to be like early October.
No, I thought it would be as soon as we were done with the event. That's what I said. I said,
Honestly,
as soon as we get through the event.
We split the difference because I said, yeah, I was thinking, okay, we'll probably hear at, October 1st.
Well,
So, yeah.
let's bring the family into how this usually works. Usually, Brother Karras is the one that's like, it's going to happen sooner than later. And
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, it's going to happen later than sooner. That's usually how we're postured.
Yep,
He's
that
usually
is.
very aggressive on his timelines.
I wasn't aggressive on this timeline. I wasn't.
You were the conservative one this time. I was the aggressive one this time. I said, as soon as we get through this event, watch the phone call we get. I knew we were going to get a phone call this week.
And you know what, family? As we were doing other things, as we were planning for other things, I said, hold up. I said, we got news. And I played the phone call, the conversation. And we just said hallelujah because there's some other
Hallelujah.
things that had happened that day. I was buzzing about too. And at that time, I said, you know what? I said we just have to let the Most High be the Most High because honestly, that day, that very morning, I was on the phone call with Sister Shar at 6:30 in the morning. I was getting ready to go to court, and Sister Shar was saying to me, "This is some personal matters." She said, "Brother Karras, just be prepared to lose." And usually I'm like, oh, I don't want to lose. I want to win this. I want to do this. I want to get this thing. I have the Most High in front of me. I have the power through Yahushua Hamashiach. And so I said hallelujah. And when I did that, I said, "Thank you, Father. You have it." And I'm just gonna do what you need to do. And the Most High had done some things. I'm not going to give you the details of that, but he had done some things. I'm like, wow, he is amazing.
It was wow. It
Yeah,
was
I said he's amazing.
wow.
And so I kind of had in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, now this issue, I said, thank you, Father. I said, I don't want to be like, Gideon. Well, can you make the fleece dry and everything else wet? Can you make everything else wet and the fleece, and can you make the fleece wet and everything? I said, in part, I didn't want to be the part of my servant, but I said, thank you, Father, for this. I said, because there's still more things going on. Like when I tell you, they shut down the Cash App to the channel. They shut down the income. They
It's
shut
a
down the income.
warfare. It's
Yeah,
been warfare.
yeah. So I'm like, I can't think about this. I can't think about that. I can't think about having this. You think about worst case scenarios, and I said, I'm not thinking about that. I said, I'm concentrating on you, Father. That's it. I said, what's going to be is going to be. I said, I know how powerful you are. My problems are not bigger than you. And I just left it
Hallelujah.
like that. And that's what they heard. And I was given we were given the Most High praise. And then we went into another discussion because we still had some administrative work to do afterwards, for the seminar, because there are still some other pieces that we needed to put together, because this is we have to train our people. We have to train. And as we were discussing that, the phone call came. And when the phone call came, I'm like, wait a second, everybody, hold up. And it was some voice memos. It was some voice memos. And Sister Shar was like, see, Brother Karras, I told you to be calling really soon. We just had to get this thing knocked out. And I was like, hallelujah. Hallelujah. Because understand, with all the challenges and things of that nature that we face in the day to day operations and activities with Quest United Africa, doing this is not for the faint of heart. It
But there's
really is.
only one reason why though, Brother Karras. Does not the scripture say that our people perish for lack of knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
So when you grew up in a deceptive system of sorcery that conditioned you to expect everything to be a bed of roses, blessing upon blessing, you're only looking for dopamine hits and expecting the good life to be a continual stream of dopamine hits, then when life shows up the way it actually is designed to, you're not equipped to manage it. According to King Solomon, the foolish are in the house of mirth, They're looking for the party. They're looking for the fun. They're looking for the feel good all the time. And then he counter positions his analysis by saying that the wise are in the house of mourning. And what he was saying is that life, like a cup of coffee, you take the bitter with the sweet. It's always balanced. We're being tested on how we handle the bitter. We're being tested on how we show up during the storms of life. Whether we be those who give praise and thanks, or whether we tempt the Most High as our ancestors did in the wilderness and complain and groan against his chastisement.
Mm.
It's not for the faint of heart if all you want to do is feel good all the time. If all you want to do is have happy feelings, that's not life.
Mm.
This realm where we live is testing us for rulership in the kingdom that our king is coming to establish. And he wants to know who is equipped, who will be equipped to govern and serve as I. You got to manage the bitter with the sweet. And it's when you look at it at any given point in time, the measure is always equal. It's not a great amount of sweet and a little bit amount of bitter. It's an equal portion of bitter and an equal portion of sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have the bitter show up, our job is to find the sweet, because what King Solomon was saying, that if you are wise, then what you are doing, you are looking for the treasure. It is the job of kings to search out a matter. Where do we have to search it out? Through the bitter, in the storm.
Mm.
Forrest Gump wasn't off when he said it's like a box of chocolates, but see, he was still talking about a box of sweetness. No, it's a cup of coffee, sir. And every day we have a praise report and we have a praise report. It ain't the praise report in the form that we think we want it, but the Most High's, his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. His ways are higher than his ways. And he's inviting us to trust him, because if we didn't have the bitter, we would trip up in pride. We would fall by self-righteousness.
Mm-hmm.
We would forget the dependent relationship we have on the source, who is our creator. So the bitter is necessary to keep us grounded, because we'll float away.
Mm-hmm.
We'll turn into the Goodyear blimp and float off in our self-righteousness and our pride if it were not for the bitter to keep us grounded. So no, it's not for the faint of heart. And we knew that in the book of Deuteronomy, where the instructions were given of how to give an address to the armies of Yah before entering into combat. Restate the law. Hey, if you just got married, go home. Hey, if you just bought a house, you haven't even had your moment to bless it and live in it, go home.
Mm.
But if you scared, you will die.
Mm.
So you might as well go home now, because you and your scary family, y'all all gonna faint from fear. This leg of the journey is only for those who will not be afraid. And we can't be afraid of this gospel, because that's what this is. Our King coming back and judging the nations and establishing justice on earth and revealing his goodness and his loving kindness to all who will bend the knee. Y'all look, you think you saw Game of Thrones. No, this Game of Thrones. Is it the first chapter of Psalms that showed that the kings of this earth, they actually think they are going to cut themselves off from the dominion and sovereignty of the Most High? That's what the conspiracy has been all along. We will not serve him. We will not bend the knee to his throne. Matter of fact, we'll take his people, we'll take his land, and we'll make it that he'll never rule again. This was the conspiracy of Psalm 1.
Mm-hmm.
No, our awakening and our witness is about the goodness of our King and the justice of his declaration and the warning cry to every nation who is ignoring this declaration that if he judged us the way that he did by allowing us to fall into the hands of our enemies, for our land to be broken up, for our names to be stripped from us, for us to become the byword and the laughing stock of the entire world for generations, then you will not call him an unjust judge when he tears your country up for your wickedness. Because he judged his own first. So we're accomplishing this, spreading the gospel, the real gospel. What does Yahusha say in Matthew 24? When this gospel of the kingdom is preached throughout the world. That's why we're stepping into diplomacy. That's why we're raising up diplomats. That's why we're training you how to be the ambassadors to the king when you are interfacing with communities outside of our nation, because we must spread this gospel, not the gospel of some weak looking, bleached out Jesus. That is the wrong gospel. Our king do not look like that. Our king did not speak only in terms of loving acceptance of all of your foolishness and lawlessness. Our king is not packaged in pagan holidays and rituals and covenants with demons. Our king is the son of the living Elohim, who fulfilled his role as our priest, covered our sins by shedding his blood, and he coming back with a vengeance, and he ain't playing. Will you bend the knee? That's the gospel. We are his bride, and we are preparing to be wed back to our king, because we hoard around with all the nations wanting to be like everyone else rather than our peculiar selves.
Yep.
We got a wedding to get ready for, family.
I wanted to show a quick story because now it's daybreak. It's about 9:30 in the morning, and stories are starting to come on up. So I'm gonna leave you all with this one. This is DNYUZ. Just put that in the chat. September 27th today. Helene brings record storm surge to Florida. The first indications of damage along Florida's Gulf Coast from Helene storm surge were emerging Friday, hours after the storm made landfall as the most powerful ever to hit the state. It hit as a Category 4. It kept going. that was pretty impressive and crazy at the same time. Storm surge from Helene, which the authorities have warned could be unsurvivable, was moving entire mobile homes in Steinahachie, a coastal community where gauges recorded water levels of about 10 feet late Thursday. The National Weather Service said it was probably more than that. They'll have the final numbers. It was probably around. There are parts that were probably definitely 15 to 20 feet. It was too early to know the full extent. See, this is what you're going to hear. It's too early to know the full extent of the storm surge and the damage it had caused early Friday, in part because several gauges had stopped working, said Parks Camp, a National Weather Service meteorologist in Tallahassee. Like I had said, it was probably a lot worse. And, it's too early to tell. And guess what? You'll never know. Didn't I say that? I said that earlier in this broadcast, and now you're starting to see it in full time. I'm going to scroll down here. Helene, with the threat of storm surge, was the most serious along the Big Bend coast, where surges were expected to be 15 to 20 feet. And I believe it got worse because they were gauging it at 130 and it crept up to 140. It probably was 145 mile an hour as it hit. Some evacuated their homes. Bradley Tennant, 43, trudged out of his home in St. Petersburg and navigated flooded streets on Thursday. At night, he and his family watched their home flood through their security cameras. He said, "I'm telling you, folks perished in their homes." In Tampa, there were 78 evacuations and water rescues overnight after storm surge. And this is continuing to happen. This is continuing to happen. This is actually still high tide right now. It gets to low tide this afternoon. This was the most, this one right here. Near Old Tampa Bay, Mark Hofert, 53, had initially planned to stay in his mobile home with his son. Decided to leave after waters slowly crept into his living room, rising to 6 inches high. Outside, he waded barefoot through chest-deep waters in the darkness to get to his neighbor's car, which was parked on higher ground, to drive away. But he said his son stayed behind.
And it was super dangerous for him to even leave the house and wade through water because, man, winds and stuff knocked down power lines. He's blessed to be alive.
To be alive. Yep. There's
The story.
snakes. There are snakes. There's early alligators. Because I know Old Tampa Bay. They actually had a fire. Red and I were actually talking about this. We said Old Tampa Bay actually, what is that? There is a kind of nature's preserve, because you don't really have any beach land on Old Tampa Bay. It's really it's just really swamp. So they have like a nature's preserve in that swamp land. They tried to do a controlled fire earlier this year, like 3 or 4 months ago, and the controlled fire actually became uncontrolled, and it burned like a lot more acres than they wanted it to. And Red and I were talking about that. And when you do that, see where I walk my dog at here, in this area, they'll do controlled burns usually in the springtime, and you'll start to see charring. But what happens is that brush is no longer there. And a lot of the times, especially with the Florida or Floridian ecology, you have a lot of brush and mangroves and things of that nature. Those are your natural storm barriers, your storm barriers. And that had literally been cleared through. It burnt. So they literally burnt off their natural barriers and protection. And when that came through, it was already at the door. He was chest deep. Nah,
That's
you're
crazy.
not going to survive that.
That's crazy. Because most mobile homes are going to be raised several feet off the ground to begin with.
Yeah, yeah, they're going
That's
to get moved off their
crazy.
blocks.
That's crazy.
I'm telling, yeah. So family, I'm preparing myself today because I know there's going to be some people that I know personally that may not be make it, that may not have made it. And Red and I are in the same boat. We're going to know some people that didn't make it. Because I'm telling you, people did not want to leave. And guess what? You see that story. Well, that confirmed a lot of suspicions.
And it's still the loving kindness and mercy of the Most High that you survived it.
That I survived it. Yeah, them trees are popping and cracking.
Well, not I'm not just speaking about you, Brother Karras. I'm speaking about the people in the article. This is still the loving kindness and the mercy
Yes.
of the Most High. You see your house flooding, and He's still merciful. Why? Because with the rising of the sun were the new mercies of the day. Will you repent and receive His loving kindness and bend the knee to His throne?
Mm.
Every time a disaster comes, do you see his mercy? Do you see his mercy? You who have survived this, yes, your property may be damaged, but your life was spared. Will you repent? Will you turn?
My thing is, why in this article? I told him I wanted to get out. He said, but he's 20 years old. What can I do? I told you, family. They use this event as a self-deletion by natural disaster. I said all right, I'm done. Thank you, family, for this broadcast. Thank you for your support. Because I tell you, this is early Jeremiah 50 right here. If this is what you see right now in a natural disaster, what do you think happens in an invasion? Russia and China are looking at the same exact news articles that we're looking at right now. They see the hopelessness right now. This nation, I told you. I told you. I said this too. I said this yesterday. Russia had already given the go ahead. They're going to use nukes. They're going to use nukes. And in doing so, I think they're going to invade. That's just me personally speaking. Because why? There you go. Their spirits are crushed. They're crushed.
Yeah, that's real.
I'm telling. This isn't me. This is them. They're telling you their conditions of heart. They're telling you how they feel. They're telling you. And I had said that on Covenant Awakenings. You know, when they invade, guess what? They're not going to fire a single shot. We give up. Yep, we screwed this on up. This is what's happening. Let's get the terms. Let's get the conditions of how we live through this. This is why you had that white lady said that she was being processed. This is in this white lady's dreams, this white woman's dreams. She was being processed, and there was another white woman behind her being a Karen, and there was some, and her what she saw in that dream, Russian and Asian soldiers that had beheaded her. I told you, family. Look, there's two harvests here. The harvest of
Mhm.
the righteous and the harvest of the wicked. Y'all better
Right.
understand them sheaves. You better
Mhm.
understand
Yes.
the ones going into the fire and the ones that's going to be saved. You better
Yes.
understand what the scriptures are saying.
That's exactly it.
They know, they see their doom, they see their peril. I don't need to go anywhere. What can I do? He gave up. I'm telling you, family, they're defeated. Their nation's it's defeated. It's already done. They're done.
Yep.
Put a sock in it. They're done.
Yep.
Wormwood's here. Put a sock in it. They're done.
Wormwood's
Nuclear
here.
doctrine got changed. Put a sock in it. They're done.
Yep.
They're already working on invasions because they just went into Taiwan the other day with the small military force. And they're done. What do you think is happening here? It's done.
Yeah.
This place is done. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Now everybody here is just waiting to see, well, when do we get taken over? How painless can that be? How will our captivity be? Because this is just with the storm. Imagine when you see with people. So, family, that's all I have.
And the work of Question Night Africa continues, right?
Mm-hmm.
We didn't come together because we didn't know this was already happening. This is just more evidence of the testimony that has already been coming forth through our community and the various social media channels that have been on the front line preparing our people to learn and know and operate in truth. And now, at this stage of the journey, we are continuing to literally represent our King in spaces that He opens the door for us to walk through. And that is why your financial support is so important. This work is bigger than I could have ever thought only a year and a half ago. The way that he is positioning Q2UA, no man can take credit for. This is the Most High's organization. It is his mission, and we are all just faithful enough to show up and say, yes, we will go. We will go and we will build relationships. We will go and we will represent the truth. We will go and we will tear down the works of darkness that has blinded and crippled our people here in the diaspora and on the continent. We will go and we will say yes to building a stronger nation from within by loving one another, by supporting one another, and by teaching and training one another to take our authority and our dominion in our various spaces. So your financial gift will go very, very far. Q2UA, in partnership with Nature's Legacy Garden and Q2UA Logistics in Tanzania, is delighted to announce the launch of the Q2UA Vocational Training Center in Tanzania. Why? Because it's not enough to just send aid and feed and clothe. When we literally have all of the technical and trade knowledge of the entire earth right here in the African diaspora that we are pouring into the land, teaching, training, equipping, understanding industrial arts, and then taking that knowledge and building businesses with them. And that is what we're doing at the Q2A Vocational Training Center. This first semester launch will include farming, gardening, and food preservation. We have received preliminary reports from the ground about the amount of food spoilage that makes no sense, that neighboring countries such as Uganda are giving
Mhm.
away gold in exchange for bread. This makes no sense when
That's the Congo.
tons of food are spoiling.
Eh, we have in here Fort Living Room Homestead. He's listening. He is there on the ground in Rwanda. And he can attest. He can attest. We
We
we we reached. He reached on out to us a couple of weeks ago, and he can attest. He's in Rwanda. We're trying to get this set up in Tanzania. Listen, Sister Shar. I'm gonna do that. The one tactic that we saw, there's 200 people in here, man, and we can have
uh-uh,
50.
uh-uh. No,
No, no,
no, Reverend collard green and chitlin sandwich. We are not doing that.
it would be more a certain amount of numbers.
No, we ain't doing that. We telling you the vision, family. Look, we are teaching we are teaching continental Africans to no longer live on the hand-me-downs of the West.
Hmm.
It is shameful and it is despicable that the wealthiest continent on the earth is receiving hand-me-downs while standing on all of the world's wealth
Oh my goodness.
because of the state of ignorance that has been imposed upon the land and the corrupt and evil banking practices that have prohibited entrepreneurship throughout the entire country.
Hmm.
And we are answering the call with Brother Michael as the operational director of the Q2UA Vocational Training Center. Y'all, I called Brother Michael and I had a whole conversation with him. I said, Brother Michael, you are a what? Y'all don't know. Brother Michael, and look, I don't think the half has been told about the skill set that our brother had. Remember, Brother Karras, it might have been February of this year. Brother Michael came out of his bag and told us he had a CDL. We were like, huh? Like,
He has a
what?
beauty license. He has a CDL. He has a
He
forklift license. He has telecommunications licenses.
he
Uh,
he he
I,
cuts
I,
hair.
I think he's a mortician, but he don't want to let people know.
Brother
Look,
Michael,
look, look! You gotta get this embalming fluid. You got boom, bam, right there, boom, right. I don't
our
want. I don't
brother,
want to know about that, brother Michael. Look, them cadavers don't be talking to you. But
our brother is a walking, breathing trade school.
he is a trade school. He is. Yes, he is.
Oh, family. This partnership between Q2UA, Nature's Legacy Garden, and Q2UA Logistics in Tanzania will provide direct services to students in Tanzania for self sufficiency and entrepreneurship. They're going to be
Yeah.
taught how to do the thing, and then they're going to be taught how to make a business out of the thing they learn.
Yeah.
They are going to come out of the shackles of waiting for somebody to give them something. And we will do it with your help. Right now, this is the initial fund drive. We will be mobilizing supplies that are necessary to start classes.
Yes. Our initial goal, and it is a very short time frame, but we need to we're trying to raise, and I believe with the Most High's help, we will raise $10,000 by October 1st. 10,000 by October 1st. And let me tell you, family, he already has classes ready to go. He
Yes.
already has students ready to go.
Yes, he does. Yes, he
So
does.
yes, and understand this is a business model that is self promulgating, which means it will continue and continue and continue. And guess what? You're training the trainer to train the trainer to train. This is economic development and critical
It
infrastructure
is.
training. This is it. And it starts in the village. It really does. So yes, family, I'm gonna come through with a particular Maury that Shara and I know that she knows an inside joke. Maury numbers, Maury digits, but we almost have almost 200 people in the chat. If we can do 50 or maybe $100 per person,
So, Brother Karis,
or
you
maybe
are
500,
so
or
wrong right
maybe a
now.
thousand,
You are
or maybe
so wrong right now.
I don't know. Yeah.
Messing with people's
I'm
kids.
sorry, I'm being real
Brother
ignorant.
Karis
To
is
the
taking jabs
backstory,
at somebody's
I'm t-
child.
I
And
am
he is
taking
so
jazz.
wrong
I am.
right
I'll send
now.
some low blows.
Yeah, that
I'll
was
send some
beneath
low
the belt.
blows.
That was beneath the belt.
I'll.
Family,
Oh
you
man, Mike pulled me up this morning because I said some joke that actually wasn't a joke. This is a phrase that I that I have from a family member. But Mike had said something. He said you said that your family member just said that thing was said niggeristic. He said niggeristic. I said
can't deal
he
with
put
Brother Mike.
characteristic and nigger together for niggeristic. All right, all right.
Y'all, one of these days we are going to have to launch a complete brand called Brother Mike because some of the stuff Brother Mike says have you
We'll
so
have a shiver going down your spine. Let me pose a question to you. Let me po-
let me pose
let me
something to
pose
you
something to you. Let me
because when
And
it's
we
all
all
over,
get it from Brother
done.
Mike. I got it from Brother Mike on Wednesday. We all get it. Brother Mike gets us in rotation.
Oh yeah, he does.
No.
Wait, now hold on now. Wait a
On
minute
now.
now, brother. Hold on 1 minute.
Did not the scriptures. Oh my. Listen. When I get it from Brother Mike, they all scatter. Look, they sing La Cucaracha and they all scatter like roaches. Sister Sharp puts herself on hold, like she's acting like she has a phone call.
Oh,
Like, all right.
it's not my turn in the
Yeah,
rotation. But look, he just pulled rank on me a couple weeks ago. I just
yeah,
got
you
mine
did.
recently.
Yeah, you did.
Hey, brother Mike spares not. He is not a respecter of person. You gonna get
No,
this
he is
business.
not. He says he cries aloud and he spares not for no man. Because you know, because that's the doctrine of Mike, where he doesn't do what? He doesn't do what, Sister Shaw? He
He
does
don't
not
pacify no
pacify
grown
the
man.
grown
Brother
man.
Mike does not pacify no grown man.
He don't pacify, not near one. Woo. Oh. He's gonna be in the background laughing. I see what y'all were doing there. I see what you all right,
And
all right.
the way he does it though, brother Karis. Oh, see, there go that Karis and Shar. They them two. Like, look, he be setting himself up to get it though, but he does. Brother Mike, we have got to launch a Brother Mike line of sayings and encouragements and things. Look, laughter does the
Told you
heart
we're gonna
good
launch
like a medicine.
a book. We're gonna have a book with AI, and we're just gonna have every single look. I think we could launch that book in probably less than a month.
We
Saying
could.
sayings by Mike.
It was,
Prophetic. It would have to be prophetic sayings by
but they are prophetic. How
Mike.
Brother Mike called the situation niggerless niggas and said they can't say I called them a nigga.
Oh, he said that sounded niggeristic. Oh my goodness.
Niggeristic. Hey, the brother Michael, we love you. And for those of you who don't already know, Brother Mike has left the building.
Mhm,
Uh, Q2UA slingshotted Brother Michael to Tanzania in April of 2024,
mm,
where he has been laying foundational relationship roots on behalf of the diaspora and for building together with continental Africans. They're in Tanzania. And his bravery, his courage, and his commitment to the mission cannot be understated. We appreciate the gift that he is and the seed that he chose to become on behalf of economic development in Tanzania, where he's been planted. And so, with your help, we will reap a harvest of knowledge and information and self sufficiency out of this vocational training center. The farming, gardening, and food preservation is only the
beginning.
beginning.
Only the beginning. So yes, family. Yeah. If you can donate between 50 to 100 today, that would be a blessing.
Yes,
And that's something, pray about it, ask the Most High about it, but understand that that goes to the fruit. Look, we came with the plan. He already has the buildings, the locations, the logistics set up, how to get the materials, how to get the curriculum, the things to get that launched within the month. That's what we're looking at
yes,
in 30 days because
yes.
it's closing out. But yes, family, that initial, that 10,000 by October 1st, family, it will be fantastic. And coming down the pipe is actually another initiative. We are working on that one because we still have to get some details in that planning, most high willing. But yeah, there are a lot of things continuing to move. Continue to pray for Quest to Unite Africa. Continue to support Quest to Unite Africa with the general donations. That's what keeps the phone bill paid. That's what keeps the internet lights up. So we can host these things, and that's what creates these opportunities that the Most High Himself provides. This is it, family. And we're on the home stretch, family. We are on the home stretch because here's the thing you don't know. You don't know what that relationship looks like and how that will directly impact you. You talk about investments, people invest in gold and everything else. But who cares about gold if people want you dead? I always think about that. Who cares about gold if they just want to, pull a pew pew in you? So you can do PayPal through the link provided. It'll accept PayPal. It'll accept your Cash App via the card and other methods of credit card payments. So all the giving is through. Yeah, Brother Garth, you have this. Yeah, please. Let me redo the link. Let me redo the link. Give me a second. Give me a second.
That was my bad, Brother Karis.
Oh yeah. Sorry, that's yeah. Question Night Africa with the K.org.
My
Africa
bad.
with a K.
Hey, this is one of those opportunities in diplomacy where we extend forgiveness and mercy.
Not Mike, not Mike. Now you messing with his school and them villagers are looking real anxious right now. Y'all don't know. Mike is on his lonesome out there in the continent, just like just like Moray numbers.
Oh goodness,
If
Marie
everyone
numbers.
can 50 to 100 to 200, 500, 1,000.
No, and that's why we took the time. We took the time to build this out because the foolishness has to stop somewhere. And this mission is so critical. We have been, I mean, punching through warfare nonstop, right? We get our little breathers, we do, and we
Hmm.
take full advantage of our breathers. But every time we set our face to do what the Father tells us to do, there's an enemy there. There's an opposition. And by his grace, by his power, it's not by our might, it's not by our power, but it is by the Ruach HaKodesh that we are walking in purpose and
Yeah.
according to the Most High's instructions for us. And this organizational mission, the harvest that's going to come forth from this mustard seed. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. When the eyes of our brothers and sisters on the continent begin to open to the things they
Yes.
did not know
Hmm.
and the treasure that they are,
Hmm.
and you get to participate in this garden by partnering with Q2UA and our vocational training center located in Tanzania.
Oh yeah, you could donate the 50 smaller amount than 50. You can. I was just saying that because we have almost 200 people in the chat, to make the goal, we would be able to have, if we were able, and I said if you're able, that's most high willing. I know folks can give according to their need, and that's okay. That's why I say, look, pray about it, and ask the most high, because we all know times are tough, times are tight.
Yeah, the dollar is going, the purchasing power is not as strong now with the inflation
Nope.
on the rise. And the thing is that even if your gift is a dollar, we cherish every act of love
Hmm.
of your taking the time to partner with us, no matter what the amount is. We do not look down upon any financial support that you give to QTUA because we are going to make every penny count.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the most high knows that people have according to what is is what's given to them. There are people that are in position that can pay 1,000. There are people in position that can only give $1. That's between them and the Most High. But don't feel like if you only have $1 to give that it doesn't mean anything. It absolutely does.
It means a lot.
Yeah,
Your
the Most
being
High
here.
literally will multiply that. The
Yes,
Most High will literally multiply it.
yes.
And guess what? You have to understand actually what the value of donating is. The value of donating is literally the fact that
Oh, Brother
you
Garth. I
are,
mean, I'm sorry,
yeah,
Brother Karis.
yeah.
We got a Brother
You
Garth
gotta get the Garth. Yeah,
time.
so I'm gonna wrap this on up so Brother Garth can come on. But the value of donating is showing that you are believing in the mission, and somebody believes in the mission, and there are people that believe in the mission. And when people see the mission is being supported, well, I see it. I see it. I see it. We're going to have some photos from Brother Mike. He's going to give you the concept, he's going to give you some videos. We're working on that right now. And I know for the sake of time, I got to get up. We have to get up on out of here. Thank you again, family, for supporting Quest Unite Africa. Thank you again for supporting the mission. And thank you again for supporting the many endeavors, because I'm telling you, family, what we are doing is much bigger than what you can even understand or realize. I'm not even allowed. Sister Shar tells me I'm not even allowed to tell you what it is that we're doing. It's that big. It really is. But time will let you know when time will show you how things are moving. So again, thank you again. Yep, we're gonna drop off for Brother Garth. Please stay tuned to this channel and please show your support for Brother Garth here in a few minutes for exploring the motherland with Brother Garth. So, with that said, family, shalom, salama, siyemi, shalom, peace and blessings, Yasharel.
What were you taught about marriage? Did it have you properly prepared for the journey or desperately frustrated looking for the nearest escape? I'm Shar, founder of Law for Love, the most special place in the legal system in Atlanta. And after navigating families through the court system for more than 13 years, we are now taking those lessons learned to serve and support families to build healthier, happier, more purposeful marriages. Join us live on YouTube at Law for Love ATL Monday nights for our family meetings. Yes, grown folk discussions.
The, the Rise of Africa, the continent, the diaspora, and BRICS explores the relationships that are affecting the global economy right now. This book explores the relationships of the African diaspora's influence on the African continent and why this is important in stabilizing relationships with an understanding of how BRICS impacts the future, good or bad. You can order your copy of The Rise of Africa today on Amazon.com.